How's it going, everyone? I'm just your average, typical Canadian nerd here to react to your average, everyday American man, here to react to some inventions that are Canadian. And yes, Canadians have invented a lot of different things, not limited to, but including basketball, I believe Velcro, the Canadarm, which is on the International Space Station. Well, that's the Canadarm2, isn't it? Because the Canadarm1 was on the shuttle, I think. Hey, that was a long time ago, and a lot has changed when it comes to space culture, especially since Pluto's demotion. Which, by the way, Pluto hadn't even made it one full revolution around the sun between when it was discovered and when it was demoted from planet to planetoid. And that's just an interesting factoid. Anyways, this is probably another Watch Mojo top 10 list, from what I can tell. And so, well, we all have our own opinions on top 10 lists, and I'm going to keep that one to myself. Let's just get this image out of the way and get into these 10 Canadian inventions.
What's going on, everyone?
Oh, geez. And of course, I have the sound set absolutely wrong, so we'll put it to my headphones so you don't get any kind of echo or feedback, and we'll try this again.
Just an average American here today to react and learn about 10 Canadian inventions. My goodness. I think in another video that I had reacted to, I learned that Canada might have invented the internet or something.
No.
It blew my mind too much. But
that's not correct.
We have 10 Canadian inventions, so if it's anything close to that, these are probably a big deal, and I'm quite interested to see what sorts of things Canada has pioneered.
Now, in relations to the internet, Canadian may have well been involved in the team that created the internet, but it was a team that did it, and that team was working in an American institution.
That might have changed the world, or what? I mean, I'm not exactly sure what these inventions are gonna be, but inventions are always pretty fascinating because it's typically stuff that Americans and everyone in the world uses, and then you're like, what? That was made in Canada? So there's probably gonna be a lot of that. So with that being said, let's check it out.
Number 1, time zones.
What? Time zones? This is definitely something that affects the entire planet. Someone invented time zones? I guess someone had to.
Well, the concept had to be cemented, and it happened in Canada because it's such a large space that from one time to the other, when you had the telecommunications happening, well, the rest you can figure out.
Time zones were invented by Sir Sandford Fleming. Number 2.
What? Wow,
that's
that was
it.
Quick.
That's it. Okay, so when it came to time, every individual place had their own concept of what time it was, and that had to do with like the clock at the center of town and sundials, right? Now, there had to be a standardized measurement of time as things became more international and ultranational as the country grew in size. In order to actually have synchronized meetings, everyone had to be on the same minute. And to do so, we all had to have the same time. But because the country was so large, we had to figure out a way to make noon different from noon, because the sun was not at the zenith at every time it was noon in every location. And time zones.
Hold on. Time zones?
Yeah, that's it.
That's all I get,
Time zones. Time zones were invented by Sir Sandford Fleming.
Sir Sansford Fleming. I can't even say his
Sanford Fleming, not to be confused with Ian Fleming.
name. I suppose this was back. I don't know when this guy existed.
Long time ago.
Time. Whoop, not Yim. Time. Zone. Invented. Sir Sanford Fleming developed the system of worldwide time zones that we still use today. Wow. Divided it into 24 time zones, 15 degrees apart by longitude. That's pretty cool. Okay.
Yeah.
That just went by so quick. I was like, wait, this is a big deal.
Number 2, the BlackBerry.
As in the cellular telephone, not the fruit. By the way, in Eastern Ontario, where I grew up, we thought that we were growing blackberries in our backyard because they grew on these vines and they were blackberries. It wasn't until I moved to the Niagara region away from Ottawa that I found out a real blackberry is not in fact what we were growing. And that made me very confused because I learned blackberries are very sour, and the blackberries that I grew up with were very sweet. And then I learned about the black raspberry, which was, in fact, what we were growing in our backyard, the black raspberry. And now I can't find black raspberries anywhere, which is a shame because they're awesome, which is not the same as the BlackBerry, which is not the same as the BlackBerry telephone, which was developed in the Ottawa region.
The BlackBerry phone?
Yes.
I think we're getting to the point. What year was this list made? 2017? Okay, 5 years ago. This makes sense. We're not really talking about blackberries anymore. Sorry.
No.
But for their time, cell phones were very much created while I was growing up. Cell phones as we know them. And before the iPhone and other smartphones,
It was the BlackBerry.
The BlackBerry was it. That was the phone.
Even when touchscreen phones came out, BlackBerry was still trying to stay in the game. They made the Torch, which was a touchscreen BlackBerry, but it was still a business device more than anything.
It was the coolest phone, and business people liked it a lot, and it had buttons, and it's pretty cool. I admire any businessman, any entrepreneur.
And if you can remember back then, before the BlackBerry came out, people had what's known as a personal data assistant, which was, it's like a BlackBerry, only older. It was a kind of pad with buttons on it, and it was basically your scheduler and your phone book all in one. Wow, phones have come a long way.
I certainly didn't know. I mean, it was the biggest phone company in the world at one point, before Apple, probably.
Yeah?
It was invented by Canadian Mike Lazardis. While it might not be the most prevalent smartphone these days, it was one of the first. And people were walking around with their eyes glued to their BlackBerries long before they had their eyes glued to their iPhones or their Androids.
Yeah.
Yeah, BlackBerries were huge, so...
So is data,
I didn't know. I just never really thought about who it was made by.
Number 3, wheelchair-accessible buses.
Wheelchair-accessible buses. So Canada
wasn't aware of that.
Buses, but they did invent wheelchair-accessible buses.
Basically those buses with the big doors on the side that had a ramp that went out and down and then up and in. Yeah, I saw those growing up.
Which is fantastic, of course, off the bat. I suppose that would honestly take quite a bit of engineering to figure out how you can raise and lower individuals onto it. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
The first wheelchair-accessible buses...
Yeah, look at this thing. That's pretty amazing, honestly, to create this thing. And
just what I was talking about.
The presence of mind to think about making it. It's very nice. Very good thing to make.
Were invented by Walker Harris Callow in 1947.
Wow.
Oh, I wouldn't have thought it would have been so long ago. Like 70
why not?
years ago. Wow, that shocks me more than anything.
Wheelchairs and buses have both been around a long time. It makes sense at some point that some war hero who was missing legs or had a friend with legs that was not accessible or a family member who was no longer able to walk due to a spinal injury. It makes sense that someone would just make it happen. And that's how inventions happen, right? It's the necessity is the mother of invention.
He designed the bus to accommodate veterans who were coming back from the Second World War.
Oh, for veterans who may be using a wheelchair. Ah, yes, very good, very good.
A lot of these veterans had injuries that required them to use a wheelchair.
Right.
Unfortunately, getting onto public transit in a wheelchair wasn't very easy.
I'm sure.
At least until Walker came along and invented his wheelchair-accessible buses.
Yeah, this is just cool. This is like a great invention to help mankind, your fellow man.
Speaking of wheelchairs, let's move on to number 4, the electric wheelchair.
The electric wheelchair.
Cool.
Really?
Didn't know that.
This is something that is incredibly important in the modern day. It's helped untold numbers of people.
Of course, I personally prefer the manual control wheelchair where you actually have to move the wheels by hand. I was in a wheelchair for a few weeks once, and I rather enjoyed it. That's mostly because I figured out controls very well, and at the time I was on a vacation, and my son-in-law, who was 3 years old at the time, so we're going through a museum together, and he got tired, and he just wanted to sit on my lap, and it was a really nice bonding experience for the two of us.
Find independents and whatnot who need a wheelchair, and you can actually activate it electronically instead of pushing it and wheeling it. Yeah, another thing that's helped so many people.
Yeah,
which is great.
Canadians really care when it comes to not allowing a disability to become a disadvantage.
Yes.
True.
And this care was shown by George Klein in 1952 when he invented the electric wheelchair.
This is also so great because these two inventions were made to help people.
Yeah.
Which speaks a lot to the Canadian culture, I think. They weren't made just to turn a huge profit and make millions of dollars,
right.
Even if they may have, which is fine. They created it fundamentally with a purpose in mind to help people, which is great.
And I think a lot of inventions are like that, like the Post-it note, which might be featured later in this video, was just because a guy was tired of tearing off notes and putting tape on it. So he thought, what if there was tape attached to my notes? And it's good for everyone, especially people who like to make Post-it note art or pull a prank by covering someone's car completely in Post-it notes.
Number 5, the Canada Arm.
The Canada Arm? I don't know what that is.
The Canada Arm
Space.
is a giant robotic arm used on space shuttles.
What?
Yeah, the original.
Does it grab stuff? Yeah. Does it take pictures? This is really specific.
It is so that you don't always need to go on an extravehicular walk in space to do something when you can just have a robot arm deal with it for you.
We went from a bus to a spaceship. So it's a very, I don't know, it's an attachment for a spaceship? I mean, it's cool.
Yeah.
And more recently, it's been used on the International Space Station.
Canadarm,
As the
too.
name implies, the Canada Arm is a Canadian invention. And one of the people who helped this invention come to be was actually my own grandfather, Joseph Lackner.
What? Oh, that's pretty cool. Wow, to say your grandfather had a part in this. It's also cool that Canada, in general, just has, like, this presence on, like, a bunch of spaceships in the world.
Yeah,
because it invented
a bunch.
this really important device. I'm still not sure what the arm does, though.
My
does arm
grandfather was
things.
literally a rocket scientist and worked on
Yeah.
batteries used in space.
Yeah.
He's been recognized by the Canadian Space Agency, the U.S. Air Force, and NASA. He also received an award from a former Canadian Prime Minister.
That's pretty darn cool.
As a little kid, I always thought it was really strange how he kept batteries in the refrigerator to help them keep their charge. But
Oh, it'll really double their lifespan? Wow, now I'm just learning useful facts.
I guess he knew what he was doing. Number 6.
Hold on. I gotta look up Canada Arm. Canada Arm.
All
What do
one
you
word.
do, Canada Arm. Oh, it's one word. Canada Arm. Series of robotics arms to deploy, maneuver, and capture payloads.
I believe
it
the
very much
Canadarm
is like an arm
3
that grabs
is in
stuff,
effect now.
manipulates stuff, or that's cool. Yeah. I mean, that's amazing.
6. The snowmobile.
The snowmobile. Wow, a lot of these have had to do with transport devices, whether that be buses or spaceships or wheelchairs or a snowmobile.
And if my cat will let me speak here, the snowmobile is often referred to by the brand name, the Ski-Doo, and also often referred to by the colloquial name, the sled.
I mean, snowmobiles are used everywhere on the planet now. This is a huge, it's very random though, but there's a lot of snow in Canada, so it makes a lot of sense that it would be invented there.
Yeah.
Honestly, creating something that would like travel on snow in a way that works was probably a very difficult task to actually achieve.
And very important to invent, because sometimes in some places in Canada, you can get buried in snow, like snow that goes meters high. It can be ridiculous, and I've never lived one of those places. Well, except Ottawa back in like 97, 98.
I suppose it's fitting that a Canadian would invent the snowmobile.
Yeah.
Joseph Armand Bombardier, a Quebecer, invented the snowmobile, unfortunately, because of a tragedy. During a blizzard, his young son got very sick, and because of all the snow, they couldn't travel to the hospital, and unfortunately, he died.
Well, that is a really sad circumstance to be inspired to build this, but inventing it now caused everyone in the future to have this device to travel around in case of emergencies and for convenience. So
and for fun.
Either way, it was fantastic to create it in hindsight.
Janie cat, what's up? Oh, she wants me to just like bury her poop.
Bombardier did not want that to happen to anybody else.
Yeah.
So he invented the snowmobile.
Yeah, and you got people driving him off giant ramps and doing tricks. So he probably never could have imagined the fun we would have with these.
Fortunately, these days we have things like snow tires and everything, so getting through a blizzard is not as hard as it was back then. And the snowmobile has become more of a fun recreational thing.
Yeah, that's more of what I think of it as. I see them when you go snowboarding or something. You see the staff riding around on these cool things.
Number 7, the snowblower.
The snowblower, another snow invention.
Gotta move that snow.
This one, Americans love this one. This has helped a lot of people.
Makes me wonder if the next item on the list is going to be the Zamboni.
With the annoyance of snow. Oh my goodness.
Speaking of snow, there are 2 Canadians who are credited with patents for early versions of the snowblower.
Oh, I bet they're rich. This thing is so useful. Not having to break your back, shoveling snow for hours. You just
or burst your heart, you know? A lot of Canadians die from shoveling snow in the winter, and I have a feeling that's might be one way that I die in the future, is heart attack shoveling snow. But I'm honestly more convinced that it will be falling down the stairs because of either a cat or a child's toy.
Just whip out your snowblower. Now I'm going to be like, thank you, Canada. And turn right as I turn on the snowblower.
Robert Carr Harris of New Brunswick is credited with the first patent. And Arthur Sicard of Quebec is credited with the first practical snowblower.
Wow.
Number 8, the gas mask.
Okay.
Whoa.
Okay, not Zamboni.
This is cool. This is like appears in a lot of pop culture. It's just a cool looking mask. It was hugely important to war and other things like that.
So this goes back to the First World War, when mustard gas was being used in the trenches, and it was a Canadian school teacher who realized that if you took a cloth and urinated on it, it would help filter the air so that it would become breathable, and one thing led to another, gas mask.
But the gas mask is like something you never think about, but is really an incredible piece of technology.
During the First World War, Germans used poison gas against the Allied troops.
Yeah.
Dr. Clooney McPherson, a Newfoundlander, modified a helmet taken from an enemy prisoner. Using this, he created a gas mask.
Wow, and this, talk about saving untold amounts of life by creating this thing. And it would go on to be used forever, up until now, like use gas masks.
His efforts saved British, Canadian, and other Dominion lives.
Yeah.
Number 9, the Robertson screw.
Ooh.
The Robertson screw.
Also known as the square head.
I don't think I'm familiar with whatever the Robertson screw is.
Most people should be. You should know there is the Standard, there is Phillips, there is Robertson, and there is Torx.
That's right, that screw with a little square indent for...
Oh, it has a square.
Yeah.
I've never seen a screw like this, or used one like this.
Really?
Is this very popular in Canada?
It's very common.
You need a certain type of screwdriver to...
Yes, the Robertson screwdriver. It is much more resilient than the Phillips, which is the cross or the X.
Twist this? And what's the advantage of a square?
For your drill or your screw to get in there. It was invented by Canadian P.L. Robertson in 1908. And last but
Oh no, that's it? The Robertson screw? I want to learn about that. Robertson screw.
It alloys for more torque with less deformation,
what are
less
Robertson
slippage.
Screws? Exactly. Wood magazine. I don't know. What are they used for? Used in the electrical trade for circuit breaker terminals and clamp connectors. Okay, so this seems like very much a trade screw that people who are actually building things and installing things in their day-to-day job would have much more of a use for. Maybe that's why I've never interacted with a Robertson screw, but I certainly appreciate the ingenuity here by Canada.
there.
I'm just shocked by that.
Canadian P.L. Robertson in 1908. Okay. And last but definitely...
Oh, it's like 100 years old, too. Wow.
My favorite on the list, number 10, the egg carton.
The egg carton. Wow, this is the best one. This hasn't saved as many lives as the gas mask or snowmobile or electric wheelchair has helped. But the egg carton, come on. Hey,
it sure has stopped a lot of broken eggs. Like, we used to keep them in baskets, and that was not an appropriate shape to protect the eggs. I think we all remember that there was this project when we were in school where we had to design and build an apparatus to protect an egg from a drop, the egg drop, right? I'd much prefer egg drop soup.
This is used everywhere. I bet millions of these are created every day all over the world. They hold your eggs at the grocery store.
They're compostable.
This is so random. What the heck?
I think this one's especially cool to us who are in the news media industry because it was invented by a newspaper editor. That's right, in 1911, British Columbian newspaper editor Joseph Coyle invented the egg carton.
Right on.
There's these interesting origin stories, and this one develops from a dispute between a local farmer and a local hotel owner.
Oh, so
cool.
Some guy in the news who created it? Yeah, I want to know.
Good story.
How did he randomly come up with an egg carton? Like, how do you just randomly invent that?
Basically, this farmer sold eggs to this hotel owner, but when they showed up, they were all cracked.
Okay.
I'm guessing the hotel owner was kind of like,
"These eggs are cracked. I will not receive these eggs. I want my money back."
I'm sure this is exactly how it happened.
Word for word.
The farmer was like,
"Hey, look, man, it ain't my fault that the eggs got cracked. I wasn't driving the truck."
And they were like, this voice he's doing. And they were like, hey, time to invent egg cartons.
Maybe you just cracked them so you don't have to pay for them. You expect me to pull that old trick?
Yeah. I'm shocked we got on as long as we did without egg cartons. How did you transport them before? I can't imagine a world without egg cartons.
Wire baskets.
Maybe this is the most important
wicker baskets
invention of the 21st century.
Baskets.
And it just kind of got messy. I guess it already had. The eggs got broken, and that's messy. The editor, Mr. Coyle, solved the problem by creating the egg carton, which allowed the eggs to be transported without jiggling all around and breaking so much.
I like that picture where he was, like, it looked like he was in a shop, like, building the egg carton using a wood planer, you know?
Did he create a mold to create the egg carton and put paper mache in it and created it, or how did he make it? I'd love to know the details of how he made the prototype and all that.
So
probably with wood.
Newspapers are the community's best friend. Wink, wink, wink. So there you have it, 10 Canadian inventions.
Wow.
And by the sounds of it, that was not Watch Mojo, so a top 10 list that was short, concise, very nice, and entertaining.
Okay. That was pretty cool. That was by The Standard News TV.
All right.
I liked that.
Not bad.
You a like.
Do it.
This was really random. But don't get me wrong. Every item on this list is incredibly useful.
Is it really random?
And used all around the world to this day.
Random is a term that's often thrown around these days when people don't really mean random. I find that it can often be supplanted with the word sporadic or strange or unexpected, but random, I don't know.
They're just all over the place. A couple of them had to do with snow. Maybe that does have some Canadian influence there, but if I take a look at them, time zones, yeah, what the heck? That was a long time ago, and yeah, that turned out being pretty important, didn't it? The wheelchair accessible buses and the electric wheelchair, my God, that's a great one.
Also global.
Snowmobile, snowblower, right? This Robertson screw, I don't know.
Oh, come on. The Robertson screw is a very important type of screw. I would wager it is one of the best screws, other than, well, you know what I mean.
And egg cartons. Egg cartons. I mean, that's pretty cool. It's just like, you go up to someone, you go up to an American, and you're like, we invented egg cartons. They'd just be like, whoa, hey, back away. No, they'd be like, oh, that's cool. That's like me. I don't know how to feel about it. It's like, that's so incredibly used all over the world. But the very last thing I would have thought
are feelings
in Canada.
important
Watch videos like
when it comes to the egg carton.
Fun, interesting facts.
Like,
just
are
like
we
that.
supposed to feel stuff?
Anyway.
I'm a little feeling deficient, so I'm just surprised he doesn't know how to feel about that. Are feelings important? Am I supposed to be feeling certain ways when it comes to these products, these videos, these responses? I don't think that there's any feeling involved in here. I'm just adding my input and context, and answering his questions.
Anyway, if you enjoyed watching this video,
oh yeah, this one, or this one, give it a like.
And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canada,
reacting to him,
culture,
reacting to Canada,
stuff I've never
culture,
seen,
my cat once in a while.
Subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching. See you next time.
Yes, thank you very much for watching. I enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed this. I enjoy that you're enjoying, and, well, just thanks for sticking around. I have been Jeff. I have been a nerd. You have been great, and I hope you just keep being awesome. Bye.
Science. Spirit. Life.